Hey everyone, I wanted to record this short video to talk about two things, but the first and most important of which is the assessment that is coming up next Tuesday. I want to walk through some of the things you need to know going into it and remind you of a few things that I brought up during the introductory videos. Um, and then the second thing is to talk a little bit about the first couple of written assignments. So first, on the subject of the assessment, let me share my screen. So first of all, if you look at our calendar, you'll see that our assessment, standards 1 through 5 assessment, is next Tuesday on April 15th. So it'll cover standards 1 through 5, as the title suggests. Let me go back to our course page here. So the first thing is if you scroll down just past standard 5 and open up the standards 1 through 5 assessment information module, you'll see, of course, a reminder of the date of the assessment. And then you'll see this link here to important assessment information. All right. So as we talked about in the introductory videos, you do need to come onto campus, either on the Yakima campus or the Grandview campus, to take the assessment in a proctored testing environment. Um, I think one of you is making arrangements for an alternate proctor. But as far as I've heard from everybody, you're either going to be in Yakima or Grandview, besides that one student. So a couple things to remember is that the assessments are closed notes. So you don't get to bring in any note cards or anything of that nature. Okay, so make sure that you're walking in confident to be able to do the types of problems that were in standards 1 through 5 without the aid of any notes or anything. The second thing is do bring in a picture ID. So they like to confirm that the person taking the assessment is the person taking the class for obvious reasons. So that can be a variety of things, but basically something with your name and photo on it. So your student ID, um, driver's license, those types of things. So just bring something where they can confirm. Even though the class is online and you do a lot of your work on Canvas, the assessment's going to be completely paper pencil. So they're going to hand you a packet and you'll just sit down and do the assessment on paper. You don't have to do anything in Canvas. Um, don't forget to bring your graphing calculator, right? As you've seen by now, the standard 2 material actually requires you to use your graphing calculator. And then, of course, you're welcome to use it as an aid in the other standards as well. Make sure you're showing all of your work, okay? Unless it's a calculator problem where all I'm asking you to do is to type things in your calculator and give an answer, if it's algebraic in nature at all, make sure all your work goes down on the assessment. So here's the hours for the Yakima campus. They're open 8:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. And then on the Grandview campus, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Right. If you anticipate any issues at all making those somewhere in that time window, please reach out to me right away so we can talk that through. All right, so there's our kind of assessment information page. One other thing, the assessment is 60 minutes long. Okay, so that's you will be given a time limit. So do make sure that you allot yourself 60 minutes so you can get the full time, and then just pace yourself accordingly. The main thing is when it comes to pacing and time limits and things like that is make sure you do all the problems that you are really confident in first. And then if there's one question where you're just like, hey, I want to sit here and think about this for a while, that's fine as long as it's toward the end of the assessment. What you don't want is to leave problems blank that you could have done, but you just spent too much time on a question from earlier. The one other thing I'll just remind you of too is that, and I'll talk about this more in a video that I make when I go to hand back your first assessment, but you're not going to get a score at the top. Remember, you're going to get a score for each standard. And when you get this assessment, all the questions are going to be labeled as either standard 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Right? And there might be multiple standards, multiple questions for each standard, depending upon the topic or the standard that we're looking at. But but they'll all be labeled. So it'll be really easy to go back and understand, okay, I got this score on standard one, this score on standard two, and so on. The other thing in the standards 1 through 5 assessment information module is I showed you this in one of our orientation videos, but I've also got this assignment called the standards 1 through 5 assessment preparation assignment. And so remember, it's got lots of practice problems. Do not try to do this on this paper, just do it on notebook paper. And then, of course, you can check your work against my solutions. And then what you'll do is you'll turn this in like a written assignment. So you're going to take pictures of your work and then you're going to send it back to me. This is a really valuable assignment, I think, in getting you prepared for the assessment. So don't do this the night before, right? Get started on it. I would say by this weekend at the latest, because it'll help you identify the things that you need to study more and the things that you should be feeling pretty good about because you already have it down. The one other thing I want to mention too is that, let's say, as you do that assessment preparation assignment, you start identifying some things that you need more work on. So once an assignment has been turned in, you can go back and click on any Newton assignment you want, right? You can go click on the Newton assignment and it'll let you do it in kind of a practice mode. So if you go back in, do problems, even if you get them wrong, it's not going to hurt the score that you've already earned. So go back into Newton assignments, use those as practice. That'll be a great way to help you get prepared and feel confident going into the assessment. All right, so that's what I have to say about the assessment in this video. Please do reach out if you have any questions at all about it. But the other thing I wanted to mention is the first 2 written assignments. Okay, so tomorrow, written assignment 1 is due. So I'm going to click on that. And this written assignment is all about solving equations graphically. So that means you're using your graphing calculator, as I showed you in the video lessons, and you're solving them using technology. So all I need you to do in this written assignment is to write down the answers. That's all I need. Okay, just the answers is all you need to give me on written assignment number 1, because all the answers are just simply coming from the calculator. That's the nature of the topic. However, in every other written assignment you do, and written assignment 2 is no exception, is when we get down here to written assignment number 2, this one is not a calculator assignment. This one's very much algebraic in nature. So I need you to show all of your work. So just I don't want there to be confusion. So the written assignment 1, yes, all I need are answers, okay, because they come from the calculator. But everything else, you should just have all of your work shown. And you notice here, I don't give you enough space to do this. So please don't try to cram your work onto this document. Do it on notebook paper, and then take as many pictures as you need of the work that you did on the notebook paper and hand that in to me. So make sure all of your work is shown for written assignment 2 and beyond. All right. If you have questions about either of those things, but especially the first assessment, please reach out. And I'll certainly get back to you quickly on that. You might remember from the orientation videos that in standards-based grading, there is an opportunity to increase your scores after you take an initial assessment. I just want to acknowledge that is the case. And I'll give you details about what that looks like when you receive your assessment back. But I will just put out there that the class runs much smoother for you the higher scores you get on the initial assessment, because with those opportunities to bring your scores up, you have to juggle those as we're learning new material as well. So just be aware of that. And finally, the way that I have the schedule of the class structured, you'll notice, is that I'm asking you to complete video lessons for standard 6 and 7 and so on before you take the assessment on 1 through 5. So the idea is we need to continue to do our video lessons, and I probably shouldn't have stopped sharing. So let me go back real quick and go to the calendar. So you'll notice that standards 1 through 5 assessment is on the 15th, but I have you start doing 6 through 11 notes on the 11th and on the 14th. Okay, so you're continuing to learn new material even as there's a little delay between the last time I give you standards 1 through 5 content and when you actually take the assessment on that. Obviously, I want to give you time to be able to do the homework and to be able to really study that material. All right. I hope you have a great evening. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Thanks.